Okay, so before we jump into this video about good fall, autumn fragrances, I'd just like to share with you a bit what's going on in my like work life. I'm interviewing, I have two jobs that might actually result in an offer in the near future, perhaps. One is a consultant position, management consulting. The other is a job as a communications manager. But I don't know yet. And I'm also working with these perfume events at the same time, and it's not going so well. I do have two orders. One event is in January. I mean, that's like really far away. And one will probably be scheduled, I'm guessing, like mid or end of November. And I also tried just inviting my neighbors to join for an event at kind of a little bit of a discounted price. And like no one signed up. No one. And they all had different things that they couldn't this date. And it just reminded me of when me and my husband started our grocery bag business or dinner kit business. We sold grocery bags with the recipes to go with to match the ingredients and run that business for 10 years. I remember that like none of our friends signed up in the beginning, or like maybe one. But almost no one. And we looked at each other, we're really puzzled. And then we just realized, I think this is the Swedish culture. We don't like to mix business and pleasure. There's something that makes us kind of want to wait. And then when we kind of were up and running and the business was actually like becoming a little bit successful, that's when they started to join in and started to order the grocery bags. I know that in other countries, I know that like all over the African continent, they want to do business with their friends. But here in Sweden, we don't, and I don't really understand the reason, but maybe there is one. I want to dig into that. So I'm trying to not take it personally. I'm thinking maybe they're just not interested in perfumery. But I mean, when a friend of mine starts a business, I will do anything to actually support that person and try to I won't buy things that I don't like or need, but I would at least, try or think about it. Anyway, you can't please everybody. That's just what it is. I'm just going to explore these different paths and see what happens. But I just thought I would share with you today what I've been wearing lately, what I've been enjoying. First of all, this house, Matiere Premiere, that is founded by the perfumer Aurélien Guichard is his name. He used to work for like all the big houses or like these big perfume companies and has actually created a number of famous perfumes. He has now kind of started his own company, and I really like the fragrances. Their bottles are 100 ml and they retail for like $200, I think. But I do think that they're worth the money. He was born and raised in Grasse in France, and he's like the 7th generation perfumer. I mean, not that that really matters. What matters is what the perfumes smell like. But I really like these fragrances, and I have mentioned a few of them before. The one I've used the most is called Santal Austral. I only have these three little kind of vials that I bought. Santal Austral is a great sandalwood iris fragrance that has a little bit of an earthy undertone, like carrot seed, oak moss, that kind of vibe. But it leans a little bit gourmand. I think it might have like almond milk or something in here. It's a really interesting combination of notes, I think. And then there's Encense Suave, which is an incensey coffee fragrance, which is, I'm not sure I'd go full bottle on this one, but it's really interesting. It smells fantastic. I just don't know if I would wear like 100 ml, but I think you actually can get them in these smaller, like 6 ml bottles, like a bigger sample size. And I'm not quite sure what they charge for them, maybe like €6 or something like that. No, not €6. I can't remember. Then I have, this one is my latest purchase. It's called Radical Rose. And although I'm not a rose fan, this particular fragrance is like such a deep, dark, fresh red rose. It's a fantastic rose fragrance. I think this is definitely unisex. It's so sweet. So if you're not into sweet fragrance, this might be too sweet for you. But it has kind of a natural, it doesn't have that praline sweetness. It's like sweetness from like a floral kind of sweetness. I think it has saffron and some other, but it's not your average like rose patch oud kind of fragrance. It's not like oud. I know some people have written on Fragrantic, I think that it reminds them of Oud Satin Mood, but I don't think so at all. Speaking of this one, Oud Satin Mood, I have the extrait version. This is a great fragrance for the fall, but it's so incredibly strong and potent that I only wear it once in a while, but when I do, I feel like $1,000,000 for sure. It's such a beautiful, I don't use the word masterpiece a lot, but this is one. I'd say this is one of my very best perfumes, but it's not an easy reach, and it might not be for everyone, but do check it out. Another favorite of mine, and especially in the fall and winter, is Le Lion by Chanel. I think this one is here to stay. I think it's so much more interesting than Coromandel, but it does have a little bit of an overlap in notes. But it has that like birch tar kind of feeling, like a leathery vibe. This tarish kind of, or maybe like a little bit of a ship kind of vibe. But when it dries down, it becomes a little bit more vanillic, and that real smokiness kind of, it's not as smoky as it is in the opening. But this was a love-hate. This was, or at first was like, oh, this is way too masculine. I went through two whole samples, and then I just got this craving, like I had to have a bottle. And I have not regretted it. I really, really love it a lot. I haven't used all this, though. I maybe have used half, and the rest I think I've like sold or swapped a few decants from that. Another purchase that's quite recent, I think I've spoken about this just recently because I use this for layering. I like to add depth to some different combinations, and then I add this. It's Patchouly by Profumum Roma. It's a deep, dark, kind of chocolatey patchouli that has a little bit of a minty quality almost. I'd say this is really kind of an acquired taste. I would not have liked this 3 years ago, but I love it now. It's going to last me like forever because it's a super, super potent fragrance. But if you try this, let it sit on your skin for like 15 minutes before making a decision if you like it or not. Okay, so that's that one. Then I have Lost Alice from Masque Milano. This one has really grown on me, and actually gourmands in general have grown on me a lot lately, but this was kind of the door opener to that category. I realized how wonderful sweet gourmand fragrances can be. I mean, I think Santal Austral that I mentioned, the sandalwood iris one, that one has gourmand, kind of a gourmand feeling because it's also kind of milky. This one is a little bit in that same ballpark. It's gourmand, but it's not like a super gourmand. This is a tea fragrance that has, it's kind of like a spicy tea drink. I think it has some black pepper. It has milk for sure. It's very lactonic. But it's heavy on the sandalwood. But this is beautiful. I just love it so much. It was created by Mackenzie Riley, who also made Hossegor from A Lab on Fire. And I think that's a completely different kind of fragrance, but they're both super unique. So I think that she's probably really talented, because I think what we all want is something new. Like we don't want like another fragrance that smells just like the others. I mean, I wear a lot of ambers now in the fall, and I'll just point this one out. I mean, Le Lion is definitely an amber as well, but that one has a special kind of note that sticks out a lot. This one is a little bit more floral. It's called L'Eau d'Ambre Extreme from L'Artisan Parfumeur, and it's more of an easy wear, an easy grab, I think, than Le Lion. This is a little bit more of a people pleaser, but I really love it. But I also have this little basket full of ambers, and I think like in the dry down, I'm not sure if I blindfolded could say the difference between all of these, but I like them enough to like keep them. I have like Amber Cello. I have Istanbul from Gallivant. I have, what is this one? Oh, this one I've actually forgotten to wear. It's, I can hardly read this. It's called Amber, and it's from the house. I'll have to get back to you on this one because I haven't actually worn that enough. I have Velvet Amber Sun from Carolina Herrera, and I have, this I actually wore today. It's by Andy Tower. It's Le Coeur de Desert Marocain. And I have had a different experience of it today, actually, that it was drier and more about the cumin. last summer when I made a comparison with African leather, I found this more wearable and like it had a beautiful opening. And now I found that I really had to wait for the dry down in order to kind of like appreciate it. So that's really strange how perfumes can give different experiences from time to time. Then I have a few other ones. Opus 1144 from Filippo Sorcinelli. It's a great fragrance as well. That's a beautiful one. It reminds me a little bit of Profumum Roma's fragrances. It has a real nice transparent quality. And I'm happy to be able to get back to you and say that this one has actually grown on me. This is Overture Woman from Amouage. It really fills a void in my collection. I have nothing else that's like this. This is a very boozy, leathery fragrance that I don't get a heavy leather, but it's like really, really boozy. It has like a Calvados accord, so it's like apple brandy kind of a smell. It's really interesting. And it has a little bit, well, I've been a little bit on the fence about this. It's kind of been a love-hate kind of thing. It's a little bit bready, if that makes any sense. Like when it dries down, I'm getting a little bit of like breadiness, like a not full-on sweet thing, but something. I haven't yet figured this one out, I'll say. I have to wear it more, but it's every time I wear it, I kind of notice something new about it, which I think is really exciting. It's a very complex fragrance. It's really, really strong. Just opening the top is like, ooh, that's strong. But I'm really happy that I got it, and I know the bottle kind of blew me away, and it still kind of does. I just kind of like picking it up and holding it. It's like really heavy, magnetic cap, super luxury. Another fragrance that I wore the other day that I really like in this season is Arbolé. I think it's now called Arbolé. It's from Hiram Green, and it's almost, I think it might be the only one that I like from this house. It's kind of a real powdery tonka patchouli fragrance, patchouli dominant fragrance for sure, but it doesn't remind me at all of this one. Therefore, I think it makes sense to own them both. This one has more of it's a different kind of patchouli, maybe a little bit more earthy, like a little bit greener perhaps, or I'm just getting fooled by the color of the juice. I'm not sure. It's really powdery. This one is like, it doesn't go as deep as the other patchouli. It's more vanillic for sure. This also was kind of a love-hate from the beginning. I just couldn't stop sniffing it, but I wasn't sure if I hated it or if I loved it. It smells like cough medicine in the beginning, but when it dries down, boy, is it a good one. Really, really recommend this one. And it lasts a long time as well. And then this is a pretty easy reach for the fall and autumn. It's called Ambrette de Noir. It's like a musky vanilla fragrance with some spice, and it has like tonka and some woods in the base. It's a little bit balsamic. It's not like a full-on amber. I would call it more of a musky balsamic fragrance. It reminds me a little bit of Metallic by Tom Ford, but that one has a little bit more of a, someone says that Metallic, it smells a little bit of blood, like it has a little bit of an over metallic quality, and I think I can kind of get that now. I didn't get it from the beginning, but I know what they mean now. This one is an easier, I think everybody would like this. It doesn't have any disturbing notes or any challenging notes. It's just kind of a beautiful oriental kind of nighttime evening fragrance. Would work on either a woman or a man. I find it completely unisex. That was one. I have two more to show you. And then actually I had some friends over Sunday to sniff some perfume. It was great fun. And they really liked this one, both of them. And I kind of got my, I kind of have forgotten about this one, and I really like it as well. It's called Erotikon, and it's from the house Pigmentarium from the Czech Republic. And it has like notes of chocolate and ginger combined with oud, and it has a little bit of an animalic quality too, so it has a lot of body. This is a great fragrance. So I've kind of realized maybe I don't need a new Oriental gourmand. I'm not sure. This is not a full-on gourmand, but it has a lot of, because of the oud and maybe the animalic touches, it's a little bit more, it's gourmand-ish for sure. I'm leaning towards getting a bottle of Lyra, actually, from Xerjoff, because that one, I don't have anything else that smells similar to that. And this one goes in a different direction because Lyra, it has like it's caramel with like citrus notes. I think it both has like lemon, maybe it has grapefruit, combined with, it's kind of like a lemon cake kind of experience. And I don't know, I haven't given it like a full wearing and just worn it all day. I should probably get a decant first before I go full bottle, but they also sell them in like 30 ml bottles, so that's not such a huge investment. Erotikon, if you can get your nose on it. I know nobody talks about it, it can be hard to find, but if you come across it, try it. I think you'll like it. And the last one is a designer. I can't find much that interests me in like in a normal, like out the mall, but this fragrance, Flower by Kenzo, is a great vanillic. It has violet. It has incense. I think that's what makes this fragrance interesting, and I think it has some rose, perhaps. I'm not sure about the rose. It's not like a rose fragrance, but it's the incense that makes this interesting. I think it smells very niche, super affordable, and I bought this one on our Swedish eBay for nothing, and it's the EDP. And I don't think they all smell the same. So I'm talking now about the EDP version. And I know that when they interviewed Natalie Lorson, who's like a famous master perfumer, they asked her what fragrance did you wish that you had created, and she said this one, and that kind of just confirmed that I think it's a great fragrance. But I liked it before that. Someone kind of gave me a bottle with this much in it. I got it in a package, like in a bundle of decants, and someone sent that little amount, and I really enjoyed wearing it, and now I have a full bottle, really happy to have it. And this is what I recommend when people ask me, like they're at the tax-free shop, and sometimes I'll get like a message on Messenger and say, what should I get? Then I tell them to get this, or I tell them to get Bottega Veneta for women, the original, the EDP. That's a really good one, or Metallic by Tom Ford, if they like it, because that doesn't please everyone. But I think this one is really interesting. I mean, there are a few more, I guess, good fragrances like at your local or your tax-free shop or wherever you might be, but there are very few that like inspire me, I'll have to say. So that was all for today, guys.